These are illegal, private, corporate intelligence agencies, many of them CIA, you name it, but with their trained operatives that aren't certified CIA or other groups, but they're contractors that work for them. And as General Flynn said just 20, 30 minutes ago, when he first came on, if you missed it, we're going to post it to X. It needs to be seen by a lot of people. Sure it will. It was powerful. He explained that and he named who's running it, John Brennan. That's the head guy. And they admit that. Previously, when they thought they were invincible. Oh, don't worry, we've got our people in there. The first time Trump won. And there's nothing they won't do. They'll start wars, they'll sabotage. They've got major inroads and funding with the Islamic terrorists, both out of Iran and the Al-Qaeda ISIS groups. That's why Brennan converted to Islam 30 years ago, so he could be part of those networks. So it's not about vengeance. It's about justice and stopping them doing it again. And from what I've seen from Trump in the last 10 days, he understands he's got to be very fast-moving and very brutal in his execution constitutionally, because these are the people that tried to kill him and have directed the attacks on us and General Flynn and Roger Stone and everybody else. So this is a death battle. This is a fight to the political death of our movement, Americana, or their movement, the globalist, godless, satanic New World Order. Yeah, there's Brennan. Jihad is a holy struggle. That was him back in 2010 saying that in a speech he publicly gave. And then, of course, Obama triggered the Arab Spring and overthrew a bunch of pro-Western governments and put the worst people in. And then went in and had a bunch of wars killing them. And then had the UN go in and then opened the borders to Europe up and brought them all in there. Now you see why Biden, really Obama, really John Brennan, that's who called the shots, took Trump's 6-month exit plan to get the $87 billion of weapons and equipment out of Afghanistan and just said, oh, we're evacuating in one day and have all this money and weapons. And then they used it in Syria. So this is just pure evil. So let's look at the geopolitical developments that are so important first. U.S. Secretary of State calls for end of Ukraine war via negotiations. General Flynn is very informed, extremely smart. That's why he's been under such attack. And he says Rubio has really been on board with Trump for a long time and now can be trusted and is on the team. Okay, I'll take his word for it. Well, Rubio is explaining we need to end this war with Russia yesterday, and China is the issue, and driving Russia into China's arms was horrible, and it needs to stop, and the Democrats and neocons are using the money, that's what he's saying right here, articles on Infowars.com, to launder it back into their political operations. Hell, they even sent somebody to kill Trump that was funded by that, as we predicted. I said they'll use U.S. people that were trained in Ukraine through stay-behind network funding to run the attack. I said I would expect that. So did Scott Bennett before he died. Very smart. So did General Flynn. Months and months before that happened. And so they got some serious terrorists, Islamic terrorists, U.S. leftists trained in combat arms. I mean, there's no telling what they might pull. So while all this is going on, everyone is tired. Crisis grows in Ukraine as army desertions accelerate. Yeah, Ukraine, despite all the NATO weapons and advisors, has failed. And so now NATO has said in the last week, and the deputy head of the unelected EU Commission, well, we're still going to break up Russia. So we're not just going to encircle them with weapons and troops. We're going to break them up. That is insanely provocative. They've set up this northern group a few months ago saying, we don't care if Trump pulls out of NATO, or we'll just have NATO reconstitute under the northern group, under this new inter-country military agreement they've made, and we're going to continue the war with Russia. So Trump's talking about big tariffs on Europe if they do that. And people say, well, Trump's really throwing his weight around. What are we supposed to do? They're trying to take a World War III that's already started, that's what this is, and take it to full, complete, total war. That includes nuclear weapons. So China is overthrowing governments all over the world, trying to overthrow governments, trying to destabilize the West. It was set up by the globalists going back about 12 years ago. It double-crossed the globalist and said, no, we're taking over the world with your globalist model, but not you in charge. And so they've still got, though, their relationships with the Democrats and people like Mitch McConnell. Him and his wife are Chi-Com agents. And they have to be identified publicly, and they have to be ostracized. And the ones that can easily be proven to be operatives with China need to be put in prison immediately. And as soon as they start indicting these people, just a few of them, the others are going to run like roaches when you turn the lights on. So that's a big deal. U.S. Secretary of State calls for end of Ukraine war via negotiations. What the dishonesty that has existed is that somehow led people to believe that Ukraine would be able to not just defeat Russia, but, destroy them, put them all the way back to what the world looked like in 2014, Rubio said during an interview. And he goes on to say, it's done, it's over. Europe and the NATO think they can defeat Russia, break Russia up. That's crazy because they have nuclear weapons. Czech foreign minister, look at this guy. Looks like he couldn't find his ass with both hands or load a gun, but Czech foreign minister calls for continuing the Ukraine war. And more statements about, we'll defeat Russia itself and break them up. Yeah, that's good. Tell the Russians what George Soros, 6-7 years ago, made the rounds on CNN, you name it. We played the clips many times and said, I really will soon be the czar of Russia. I will control it. And we're going to encircle them and then break them up. Can you imagine if the Russian leaders were on TV saying, we've encircled America and we're funding political groups to destabilize them and we're going to break up America? You'd get pissed. And it's poking them. Come on, do something. Do something. Oh, now we're bombing you with missiles. Do something. Come on. Okay, come on, do something. Come on, do it. Do it. Do it. And then it's people like this numbskull that are running around. I mean, look at this guy. I wonder what's on his hard drive. I mean, these people are sick. So, just a snapshot of what's happening with China. London Telegraph, China is building the world's largest military command center, 10 times bigger than the Pentagon. China is building a new military command center near Beijing that is 10 times the size of the Pentagon, U.S. intelligence officials have said. Satellite images of the base about 20 miles southwest of the Chinese capital show a 1,500-acre construction site that experts suggest could house reinforced military bunkers to protect the country's top military brass in case of a nuclear war. Well, they're not even denying that. When complete, the facility, nicknamed Beijing Military City, is expected to dwarf the Pentagon, the U.S. Defense Headquarters, which is known as the world's largest office block. And there's images there in the article. We can actually pull up the HD article and show everybody that. Then we've got this. China just tried to overthrow a major Western nation. A Chinese-backed spamouflage operation, posing as Spanish nationals, sought to use the catastrophic flooding that hit Valencia, Spain in October to instigate the overthrow of the country's government. Disguising themselves as safeguard defenders and allegedly based in Spain's capital, Madrid, the Chinese agents were active from November through January on Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, you name it. The social media accounts, comprised by Chinese operatives posing as Westerners, posted the amplified content critical of both Spain's central government and Madrid of Carlos Mazan, and again called for people to overthrow the government.